Monday, January 9th, Board of Control. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Before I get started, real quick, IT was just up here. Before we use the microphone. Calling the roll for the Monday, January 9, 2023 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:01 a.m. We have Councilwoman Meredith Turner.
Present.
Councilman Dale Miller.
Here.
Trevor Meckler serving as alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.
Here.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever. Michael Chambers serving as an alternate for Chris Ronay, County Executive.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as fiscal officer
Here.
for Michael Chambers. Paul Porter, we have a quorum.
Here.
Okay, thank you. At this time, next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 19th. I will make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, let's move on to our first item, please.
First item, new item for review, BC 2023-01, Department of Public Works recommending an award on RQ 10490 and enter into a contract with Precision Industrial Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $450,000 for the purchase of carpet for various county buildings effective upon signatures of all parties for a period of 3 years.
Good morning, Matt Reimer, representing the Department of Public Works. This item is a contract out of our capital project subsidy. It is a project that we bid twice. This is a task order-based contract for carpet and installation services that supports our capital improvement program. We bid this in June and received no bids. We bid it again under this RQ and we received one bid with 23 individuals getting the notice plus the open review on the county's website and web portal through Infor. Precision Industrial Services is a new vendor to the county for these services. We last contracted these services in 2017 through 2019 and not since then. So we are anxious to get this started again. Happy to answer any of your questions on this item.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions? Councilman Miller.
Two questions. The funding source capital, is this the $7 million or so that's included in the operating budget where we provide some money for capital projects?
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, the $6.8 million annual subsidy.
And the written document says that there were 3 responses received, but you said only 1 was received. Can you clarify that?
That's correct. I'll defer to Mr. Porter, but I believe the 3 are the plan holders that may have pulled plans, but the bid tabulation only shows 1 bidder, unless I'm mistaken, Paul.
I'll have to double check on the specific number of respondents. Is it possible that it was just a typo and that there was only the 1 respondent? Or was this one that had respondents that were disqualified?
No, I'm at least unless I had a partial bid tabulation, this is only one vendor on the bid tabulation.
So
See if I can pull it up.
Okay.
So if we receive only 1 response, how do we know that the pricing is reasonable?
So we did evaluate that in a number of ways. Number one, we went through all their references and we received great responses from their similar services for Franklin County and for the Ohio National Guard. Talked to both of those entities. And specifically on the state term work that we did on a slightly different style of carpet, quality of carpet, there was a 5% difference between material prices as one example. $33.50 is the bid price per square yard for the material under this contract, which again is a higher quality than we used under state term in 2022, and that price was $31.83 from a previous vendor. So we feel confident that we've got a good bid price from this vendor on the carpet itself.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there additional questions? Mr. Mackler.
Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Trevor.
Do you know why and I might have missed this if you said it, why the previous vendor didn't submit a bid?
Hard to explain. Again, I don't know what vendors go through and they make their business decisions. I do know that we did change the style of carpet that we want to procure under this. We had a specific carpet, a Shaw carpet specifically in the last contract. This one, we did a performance-based specification for specific construction of carpet, which opens it up to a number of different vendors. Other than that, I can't explain why they wouldn't have proposed on it.
And then as follow-up to the Board of Elections question, has the new carpet over there been installed yet, or has it just been procured?
Installed, no. Procured and received, yes.
Okay, do you have an projected installation
I
timeframe?
don't. I anticipate we'll either be doing part of it with this contract, because we can procure installation services only or material services only with this contract, or it'll be part of the renovation project if there are some areas that we think that is appropriate for.
When you have that set, could you let me know just so I can let council know, because they did
will.
amend the budget
Budget for
to
that.
specifically include
Yes.
that. Thank you.
Indeed.
Are there any final questions? Mr. Porter, you have some?
I pulled up the bid submission records for this one. There was one vendor that submitted a packet, but it was a no bid, so that doesn't count. There was a packet submitted, but it's not reflected and tabulated. And then the other bidder made both an electronic and a manual submission. So that's why there were technically 3, but that was really the same bid, same price and everything. It was just submitted in 2 different versions. Hopefully that clarifies it.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I will make the motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mackler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is
Thank you.
approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-02, Department of Public Works recommending an award and enter into a contract with Chemtron Incorporation in the amount not to exceed $49,500 for collection, transportation, recycling, and/or disposal of hazardous, non-hazardous waste project effective upon signatures of all party for a period of 1 year.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich from the Department of Public Works. This is approval of a contract with Chemtron. This is the county's chemical collection and disposal contract. When you think of hazardous waste, it's like grease, fluorescent bulbs, asbestos, greases, antifreeze, and other chemicals. We bid this out competitively through the Infor bidding system. We had 1 bid response. It was the same vendor that we were previously under contract with. This is a not to exceed 1-year contract.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board?
Yes, how does the unit cost compare with, for the new contract, compare with what we were paying last year?
They're increased, as with most supply chains. They come here weekly and go over the challenges with supply chains. A lot of this was a labor increase. I think labor increased by just over 30% on this. You know, because this isn't necessarily a goods contract, it's a removal of goods or services, but the labor rate did go up roughly about 30%. So it is increased, but that's in part why we only did a 1-year contract. Historically, we've always done 3-year contracts, but we know what the supply chain in the market is going through right now, and it's continuing. So we're just doing a 1-year contract, which we'll rebid again later this year.
And this would seem to be a service where there's multiple vendors out there. Why did we get only 1 bid, and are there some things we can do between now and next year so that when we bid it out that we can get some competition?
So historically, we've only typically received 1 bid for this. It's a small market. There's not a large market. The number of vendors that received it through Infor is the number of vendors that self-register as a related commodity. They may not necessarily meet the business need that we have or the specifications that we need. So there's a little bit of a transparency thing there. But I think as part of why we only did 1-year contract is so we can reevaluate the business need, and then try to capture if there are other vendors in the market. Chemtron is one of the leading market vendors, especially in Northeast Ohio, though.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Mr. Mackler, please.
Tom, the backup mentioned that this was sent to 148 vendors plus 3 DEI vendors.
That's correct.
Is Chemtron one of the 3 DEI? And if they're not, do we know why? If we took the effort to try to send it specifically to those 3, why didn't those 3 respond?
I would have to go back to see if those 3 DEI vendors, if they did respond, because typically I think the policy states, we bid it out through Infor, we send a separate email to the DEI vendors. We let them know when the bidding period is open and closed. If we don't get a response, we just assume that's a no response. But I can check to see if we had any of those vendors return the response.
So Chemtron's not one of the three?
I don't believe they were. I don't think so. They're more of a larger format company.
Can you check, I mean, that
I will.
specifically, to some degree, why the point of trying to proactively
Yeah.
encourage DEI vendors to respond, and if we're emailing them and we're not getting a response back?
Correct.
Okay, are there any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-03, Fiscal Office submitting an amendment to a contract with Manatron Incorporated for the purchase of Marshall and Swift rate tables data licenses for the period January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $154,931.60, effective upon signatures of all parties.
Good morning, Dominique, Fiscal Department. This is an amendment for our yearly licensing fee for the access to the Marshall and Swift rate tables. The tables are used by appraisal to do property valuations throughout the county.
Thank you, Dominique. Are there questions from the board?
Yes.
Councilman?
Your answer to my advanced question indicates that this contract went up by 11 or 12% over last year. Can you provide us any insight on why that large of an increase occurred?
Over the past 2 years, the contract has actually been increasing by 10%. So the first two years it increased by 5%, but over the last 3 years, it's been increasing about 10% each year.
And do you
So it's
think,
been steadily increasing by 10%.
do you think this simply reflects inflation, or do you think there's something more substantial going on?
It could possibly be inflation, but it's a sole source, so this is the only vendor that offers the product. So even though it increased 10%, I mean, that's the only option that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McAleer, please.
Dominic, just to follow up from Councilman Miller's questions, are we getting more license, or is just the per license rate increasing?
It's charged based off the parcel, so it's pretty much based off our parcels that we have, and that's kind of how they do it, so they do it based off of our parcels.
Lisa Rocco, Director of Operations for the Fiscal Office. So yes, Dominic is correct. This is based on per parcel count. We certify that each year. So, excuse me, it fluctuates each year.
Lisa, do you know, is it an increase from the prior year, or just trying to drill down a little bit more? Is it really a 10% increase, or is it a 5% increase and there's just more parcels?
That I would have to look at.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there, will you get the information then, Lisa, and get it back to Councilman
Yes.
and Trevor? Okay. Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2023-04, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $25,700 for a state contract purchase of 14 HP ZBook Firefly mobile workstations, each to include HP CarePack hardware support, 5-year extended warranty, HP Absolute Data and Device Security for Education Professional subscription licenses, 12 docking stations and wireless mice, and 24 monitors for the Fiscal Office, and recommending a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Board. Dennis Sullivan with Department of IT. This is a county standards state contract purchase on behalf of the appraisal office. This will allow mobility for them, and they've indicated that this is a combination both of additional and replacement equipment.
Thank you, Dennis. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2023-05, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in award recommendation to Dell Marketing LLP in the amount not to exceed $9,474.24 for a state contract purchase of 16 Microsoft Azure commit licenses through June 30th, 2023, and recommending a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning again, Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. These licenses are being purchased under state term contract. At the end of the period of 6/30/23, there will be a true-up of cents if you follow. We have an enterprise agreement and contract with Microsoft, and we will come forward with a new enterprise agreement. Each additional Microsoft license that's bought out of the initial enterprise agreement is thus then added or true up, the term true up in the business. If it's still needed at that time, it is added to the master. Then after 7/1/23, any additional that come down to the road, they'll be used and acted upon in the same name purchase. They'll be added in at the dovetail in at the end of the next enterprise agreement. And these licenses will be used for what's being called the Next Gen 911 project. And this is what's going to link addressing systems in municipalities to the GIS system for the Next Gen project 911. And those standards will all be sitting on Tom Fisher's GIS platform.
Okay, Dennis, thank you. Questions, Councilman?
Just a comment that the total amount of money that we spend on software licenses of various kinds runs into the millions of dollars. And now that we have a new administration in place, I would like to renew my suggestion that we should take a comprehensive look at how we handle licenses and determine what the total amount of money is that we're spending for licenses of various kinds, and try to figure out if there's any way that we can achieve some economies of scale, accommodate some, eliminate some duplication, or do some things jointly for all departments, or not any other ways achieve some savings by handling it in a comprehensive manner.
So Dennis, will you go back to Andy and instruct him that we'll set up a little committee, a little hearing, and try and get things moving?
Councilman, I saw that concern on your advanced question, and I saw the response to it. And I think you're well aware that the response from our side is that the licensing that we are aware of, the licensing that's under the purview of the county executive, that, you know, what the commissions, other boards, other courts and whatever, if they don't go forward to the tech, then we don't know about it.
And some of them have their own IT departments as well, the prosecutor, things like that. So, but we can certainly put together some information.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are looking at, we do look at everything as you saw in Janelle's note. The thing, again, what we're aware of.
Okay, great. Good comment. Do you have a question, Mr. Mackler? Please.
Dennis, do you know why ARPA general fund revenue replacement was chosen as the funding source, if this is kind of an ongoing expense?
No, I do not know the reason why that was designated. Michael, can you help at all?
I do know that IT had a list of items that the executive did give a pot of money to, and I know Janelle had a spreadsheet. The last time this came up, I had asked her, and she said it was included in her list. It was approved. But it was dwindling down. There can't be too many more left.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, and just with, I mean, we obviously need these moving forward, so I was a little surprised to see that as a.
Is there any way maybe you can find out what's left?
Yeah, and Trevor, to your question specifically, I don't know if this is like a one-time use of it for purchase and then it becomes an operational expense later on. I'm not sure. But we can
Mike,
find out.
If I could, I
Yeah.
think it was mentioned that because this was related to the Next Gen 911 stuff, that's why it's being funded under ARPA, you know, under this funding source to begin with, because it's tied to that project.
I still want to know how much is, you know, what we got left that hasn't come through, though.
We can respond through Cheryl.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you.
To share with all.
Any final questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2023-06, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to T4S Partners Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $150,000 for Cherwell Integration and Development Services for the Cherwell Cloud-Based Service Desk software application for the period March 1st, 2023 through February 28th, 2026, and recommending a contract with said RFP exemption.
Again, Dennis Sullivan with the Department of IT. This 3-year contract is a time and material contract, so it'll be based on usage solely. The T4S partners are the people that integrated and developed the Cherwell system, what's called the Cherwell system, the help desk ticketing system. And then Cherwell itself, as you know, is the licensing agent. The integrators, the support is T4S.
Okay, Dennis, thank you again. Questions from the board? Councilman?
So is T4S the only company that could provide this service, or are there some others?
Dale, I want to answer your question to the best of my knowledge. I don't know for a fact. What I do know is the exemption is based on T4S doing the design work and the implementation initially of the whole ticketing system. Thus, the thought process is this is a cost-saving maneuver, this exemption, not to bring someone in totally cold and get them to running the speed on the whole application.
And so why is this done as an exemption as opposed to being a sole source?
That therein might lie your answer, that there's other people that can do it. I don't know that for a fact, Dale.
I'm sure there's other people that can do it, but then to bring them in, it's like an elevator. If you have a certain name brand, they won't be able to get the parts or pieces and things like that, but
There is a real dollar amount to bringing someone up to speed. We've learned that time and again.
Okay, thank you.
any further questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Porter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-07, Department of Human Resources submitting an amendment to a contract with the Archer Company LLC for classification and compensation analysis for the period February 3rd, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $21,000, effective upon signature of all parties.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This first contract is an amendment with the Archer Company for classification compensation analysis. We typically don't use their services that heavily. For example, in 2021, our spend was only $2,500. What we did do last year, as many of you are aware, is we did hold a salary survey, which was used to do the across-the-board increases for county staff. With that, we do have an RFP prepared for these services moving forward, but we decided to amend this contract under which we maintain our same services, same costs, and it's an as-needed, no-obligation contract. That way, the new administration has a chance to review with Archer what was entailed in that salary survey and ask any questions, and then provide input in that draft RFP so that when we move forward, we're capturing all of their goals and objectives.
So you are moving forward with the new RFP though, right?
That is our anticipation this year.
Okay. Are there additional questions? Mr. Mackler?
Even how much did we spend in 2022?
In 2022, we spent approximately $35,000 or $37,000.
And the bulk of that was the
Salary survey.
Okay, thank you.
Final questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-08, Department of Human Resources recommend an award on RQ 9144 and enter into a contract with One Source Technology LLC, DBA Assurant, in the amount not to exceed $150,000 for pre-employment background screening services effective upon signatures of all parties through December 31st, 2025.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources again. This is a new contract as a result of an RFP for our background check services for new county employees. We did conduct an RFP last spring, and with that RFP, in competitive bidding, anything that can go wrong did go wrong with this procurement. We did originally have a higher scored vendor, which was our current vendor. Unfortunately, during that RFP process, they were acquired by a national firm and thus acquired their legal team, who would no longer agree to our county contractual requirements, and in a sense wanted to take their RFP proposal and throw it out in favor of their standard legal agreement, which negates the entire RFP process. Moving on from there, once it was clear that we could no longer negotiate with that company, we moved on to the second highest scoring company, which was Assurant. The score was almost negligent. It was a 1.3 point difference. The main point being that we felt that as a national corporation, before we were aware that corporate screening had been acquired, as a national corporation, we might not get as best of a response when we did have issues or concerns over background checks. But Assurant does offer better pricing, and as a national firm that's been conducting this, they are slightly higher qualified.
Thank you, Stephen. Questions from the board?
Yes.
Please.
Who were the other four bidders?
The highest scoring vendor was corporate screening, which is our current vendor. In addition, there was, I have to get back to you on that one. I will provide those responses for you.
Okay. And to Director Porter, I just want to express a little bit of a concern, harking back to what we heard on the first contract we heard, where a bid was received from the same outfit, both in physical form and electronic form, and the system counted it as two vendors, which I think can create confusion as to what response we got. Can we clean that up so that that two responses from the same vendor is reported as one vendor?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
And Paul, if you don't mind, for some of our new people, can you explain why you got 34? I mean, how does that come about?
Sure. So when we put out a formal solicitation like this, the 34 represents the total number of vendors who receive notice of the solicitation. That doesn't mean that they're going to do a bid for it. It doesn't mean that they, necessarily provide the exact scope of work that we're looking for, but at least those were the ones that were notified of it. And then the 5 would be indicative of the total number of responses that were received in response to that solicitation.
But the 34 are ones that signed up for this particular category, is that correct?
Correct, yeah. Or, people that the department identified as providing or potentially providing that service and put on the plan holders list. Sometimes we might have a lower number of vendors registered in Infor to provide a specific service, particularly if it's unique or specialized. In that case, the departments do research about who's out there in the market providing similar services, and they provide contact information on the plan holders list that then our team sends out notice, in electronic or physical form to those vendors to see if they're interested in responding.
Okay, thank you. Just a little clarification on the 34. Might be helpful to some people. Are there any additional questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2023-09, Department of Human Resources recommend an award and enter into an agreement with the Metro Health System in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for the operation of an on-site COVID-19 and booster vaccination clinics for employees at various county buildings for the period November 16, 2022 through December 31st, 2023.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This is an agreement with Metro Health to provide COVID vaccination and booster clinics at county locations. We've already held 2 of these clinics, one at J. Hunter and one at the administration building. With this, there is funding for 4 additional clinics at various county locations throughout the end of the year as needed. The reason why this is late is that we were originally moving forward for these COVID vaccination clinics last year, And we decided, along with Metro Health, to expand that as a not-to-exceed amount so that we could hold additional clinics throughout the year.
Stephen, if I can too, for clarification, can you maybe explain wellness benefits, the funding source?
So the wellness benefits is partially funded by the general fund and partially funded by revenue that we receive from Medical Mutual. They provide us a wellness incentive so that we can incentivize employees to be healthy and visit the doctor, and we can hold these initiatives. That way it reduces costs to the county and to Medical Mutual.
Thank you, Stephen. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-10, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers Incorporated for clinical case management services for the coordinated approach to low-risk misdemeanors CALM project for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $218,167.
Sharon Brown, Juvenile Court. This is our contract with Applewood to provide clinical services for the Project CALM. It's the first amendment, extends it out for 1 year. This is 100% funded by Reclaim. This is a late item due in part to the award and budgets not being set up until after the existing contract expired, which is something we cannot control, and then just some issues in M4.
So if the board members recall, back in December, we had a few items come through. We indicated there was a few more, and I believe these are the last of them coming through?
There may be one more.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-11, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with the Village Network for Safe Space Housing Services for court-referred youth for the period October 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2022 to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023 and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $20,000.
This is another one of our Reclaim contracts. This is with the Village Network. This targets kids who have been identified as victims of human trafficking. This is the 6th Amendment. We have made note to do a new contract.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner, I believe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-12, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for high-fidelity wraparound case management services for the period September 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2022 to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023 and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $28,750.
Our Ohio Guidestone, another Reclaim contract. This is our 5th Amendment. We have made note to do a new contract, and this is for youth receiving high-fidelity wraparound services.
Thank you again. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-13, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for trauma-informed mentoring services to the Promise Team youth population for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022 to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023 and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $25,000.
Ohio Guidestone contract is our 2nd Amendment, just extending for a year and for youth identified or working with the Promise Team.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-14, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for interpretation and translation services for the period January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2023, to change the terms effective January 1st, 2023, to remove a vendor and for additional funds. The Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center in the amount not to exceed $24,000, Cross Thread Solutions LLC in the amount not to exceed $293,179.82, and remove effective December 31st, 2022, Cal Interpreting and Translations Incorporated.
And this is a joint contract with, I believe, General Probate and Domestic for translation services. We did remove a vendor. All the courts agreed. This is a late item just because Cleveland Hearing and Speech had some difficulty getting in there some documents.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-15, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a master contract with various providers for substance abuse treatment program services for court-referred youth for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $75,000, Catholic Charities Corporation in the amount not to exceed $50,000, Ohio Guidestone in the amount not to exceed $25,000, New Directions in the amount not to exceed $50,000. So there's something wrong there. 125. Not to exceed 200,000 to increase the funds in the amount of 75. Oh, that's changing them, so something's wrong here. So let's see.
I'm trying to pull it up, Cheryl.
Now I'm looking at the briefing because that's what it was in the briefing.
Tara, do you know the total?
I do not know offhand, sorry.
I have that it is 75,000 total, and it looks like 25,000 per vendor. Does that sound right?
Yes. That
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is our substance abuse master contract with 3 vendors. Again, it's 100% reclaim funded, so same issues with the lateness. This is the first amendment.
Okay, thank you, Board. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item as amended for $25,000 each. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved as amended. Next item.
BC 2023-16, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending an award on RQ 8050 and enter into a master contract with various providers in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for professional and technical services for the in-home family treatment program for youth and families for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. Ohio Mentor Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $50,000, Applewood Centers Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $50,000.
This is an RFP that was completed for in-home services. We had 2 proposals and awarded to 2 vendors. It is late for the same reasons, 100% reclaim grant funded.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-17, Office of the Medical Examiner, recommend an award on RQ 11320 and enter into a sole source contract with Charles Brenner in the amount not to exceed $13,200 for maintenance on DNA View and paternity software the period October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2025.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. This is our contract with Dr. Brenner. He came up with this program. Helps, among other things, calculate DNA match probabilities for our paternity unit and for DNA. This is a sole source. It's late. We had delays, if you'll remember, last fall. We were waiting for additional appropriations back in September and October. We also lost one of our procurement staff shortly after that, and so it fell to our remaining person to try to get everything done before the year's end. This did not make the cut, so we apologize for that, but that should be remedied shortly.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I believe, Mr. Macular. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
BC 2023-18, Department of Health and Human Services submitting an amendment to a contract with Hitchcock Center for Women Incorporated for constructing a new treatment center building for the period November 10th, 2022 through April 30th, 2025 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. Again, this is a contract amendment with the Hitchcock Center for Women. Hitchcock provides treatment and recovery services for women experiencing substance abuse issues. Since 1992, its home has been the former St. Mary's Seminary built in 1924. Today, that home is technologically obsolete and suffering from age and deferred maintenance. The Hitchcock Center is teaming up with the Finch Group, an experienced real estate expert, to develop a comprehensive building containing updated and state-of-the-art treatment facilities and recovery housing. The building proposed is on land already owned by Hitchcock. Currently, Hitchcock and the Finch Group are in the process of obtaining funding for this new site.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions, Councilman?
Yes. First, we appreciate the support of this project that the council also supports. Am I correct that this came from Executive Budish as opposed to from the current administration?
That is correct, but my understanding is that the current executive supports this as well.
Okay. And also, how much ARPA money remains among the money that was allocated to be led in direction by Executive Budish?
I will have to get that back to you. Obviously, I think there might be a couple more coming through, but we'll get you the number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions, Mr. Mackler?
Good morning, Marcos. I thought with the amount that council gave that they were at 100% of what they needed for the project to go forward.
My understanding is that they are currently with this 150,000 about 1.4 million short still. They expect about 600,000 from another source, which leaves about 840,000 still to be obtained. But their plan is to break ground in June.
You know the other source of the 600K?
They did not mention that other source.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-19, Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Child Support Services, requesting authority to submit a grant application to Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families, Office of Child Support Enforcement in the amount of $1,260,000 to implement and enhance safe services to families in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, in connection with the Safe Access for Victims Economic Security Saves Demonstration Grant Program for the period September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2027, and submitting a grant award with said grant in the amount of $117,666.66 for the period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st of 2023.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez on behalf of the Office of Child Support Services. This is, again, a grant application and acceptance for our SAVES project. SAVES stands for Safe Access for Victims Economic Security. This is a demonstration grant. The project will implement comprehensive domestic violence safety policies and procedures and outreach activities to enhance the safety of victims of domestic violence in the child support program. They're hoping to increase the child support services for parents not currently receiving child support due to safety concerns. This is a 5-year grant. We are partnering with the State Office of Child Support and with Franklin counties to implement this demonstration grant.
Thank you, Marcos. Other questions? Councilman, please.
The answer to our advanced question confirmed that the total grant amount is $353,000 over 5 years. My question is where the $1,260,000 number comes from that's in Part A of the description.
That is the full amount from the federal government, and that is being split up. Majority of it going to the state department, and then part of it is going to Franklin, and then this is our portion.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda items are BC 2023-20 through BC 2023-31. Consent agenda item BC 2024 is being corrected to read, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University, Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences for evaluation services of the Safe Harbor docket programs for the period July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2023, to change the terms effective July 1st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $20,000.
So we're adding 20, okay. I know there's a few here, board members. Do we have any questions? Do we need another moment or two? Mr. Mackler?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to follow up on the one travel question. So even though he's no longer an employee, right, we can still reimburse for those expenses? I mean, I was just curious.
I mean, it did incur while he was an employee. I mean, yeah, I don't have an issue with that because it did occur, you know, obviously it's the other way around. No, we wouldn't, you know,
I just want to,
in
I just didn't
January.
know logistically how you're able to do that, but okay.
And I do understand that they thought it was submitted and it wasn't. We found out it wasn't, you know, and he did go to the meeting. He was, I know he reported back to our group about it and yeah. So, are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve consent agenda items as listed, including amending BC 2023-24 for the amount of $20,000 not to exceed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Oh, Councilman, please.
Just a clarification that the amendment on 23-24 also included date changes.
I don't believe there was date change. I think it was just the amount, wasn't it?
It was just the amount.
Just the amount.
Okay, I misunderstood.
No, I'm glad you asked. It's all good. Well, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Porter. All in favor to approve today's consent agenda items as listed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on to other business.
Other business, we have 2 additional items. First item is Department of Children and Family Services is submitting a purchase order to Poplar Springs Hospital in the amount not to exceed $50,000 under alternate procurement approval BC 2022-767 dated December 12, 2022, which authorized purchase orders to various licensed providers for out-of-home care placement services for the period January 9, 2023 to December 31st, 2023 in the amount not to exceed $250,000.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Children and Family Services. This board approved an alternative procurement process for emergency child placements late last year. This process allows us to place a child and secure payment via purchase order and bypass the time-sensitive emergency procurement process, time-sensitive mission-critical process. This request is an approval of purchase order up to $50,000 with Poplar Springs. In order for us to place the child in Poplar Springs, the vendor wanted verification in writing that we would pay them, so we had to put forward this purchase order. There is a court date set for Thursday. I think I had it incorrectly as Tuesday, but it's set for Thursday, and the court will be looking for a placement update. The child has diabetes, and when he's currently in UH being monitored closely. And when he's not in placement, he does not take his medication, and his health deteriorates quickly. So Poplar Springs is able to provide that medical expertise to maintain his health.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve it. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next one.
Additional item number 2, due to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, the Board of Control meeting on Monday, January 16, 2023 is canceled, and that next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 7, 2023.
Thank you. So we'll all have to change our calendars one day periodically. So, okay, no other business.
No public comment?
Any public comment? No? Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.